Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have an exciting video today for you all covering the International Car Show here in Seattle. Well, this show this year was a lot smaller than previous years, due to pandemic and, shipping. There were many auto manufacturers that couldn't even get cars to the Seattle International Car Show this year. But what they did have was a lot of new concepts and designs, mostly in the EV department, with pretty much every car manufacturer at least showing one EV vehicle. While they didn't have booths to, go over the plethora of their vehicles and EVs, some of them just opted to have a smaller presence with their cars, all just centered around the EV display, which we will get to later in the video, which is really cool. But like I said, the show was a lot smaller. I had been to it in previous years, and it was vastly smaller. We were able to see the whole show in probably about 2 hours, and that was with having the VIP package, VIP tour, which this video will cover, which touches on a lot of EV cars and some of the new technology behind it. So, without further ado, let's just jump into that video and get it rolling, because it is really cold up here in the frigid north, and I want to get inside where it's warm. So, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, like a lot of the other car companies, everything is crossover SUV. Not completely. They do have one car off in the back corner, the Jetta GLI, which is their high-performance four-door sedan. A lot of fun to drive. Manual transmission, even for those who like that sort of thing. But they've got pretty much something for everybody here. We have Taos, which is one of their newest crossovers, the small one here. But probably the biggest news is this one right here. So this is the Volkswagen ID.4. It's their first fully electric SUV. And as you probably remember, a few years back, Volkswagen had a little diesel issue. After that, they decided they were going fully electric. There's a whole range of ID models that are coming. You may have seen the bus. So there is still discussion that they will have the Volkswagen bus return as an electric car. It was supposed to be this year. Things got moved as everything else did. So it will be probably sometime next year they'll show it for the first time. So that one should be pretty exciting, but there are different versions of this. There's a sportier version. It's available front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. It's actually a lot of fun to drive. For those who haven't driven an electric car, they have lots of torque right away. It makes them, even when they're not high powered, they're a lot of fun to drive. So let's continue on down this way. One thing you'll find, I don't know how many of you have been in cars, cars that have been built for the last year or so, the display screens are becoming bigger and bigger, and a lot of electric cars are really adopting the high-tech look. I'm not sure if that one is open or not, but we'll see some as we go through. It's pretty amazing to see. You also have the opportunity to drive the ID.4. They have driving outside, and then there's also an EV track back in here. You can finally drive cars inside now with no emissions. BMW is also moving towards fully electric cars. They've had a number of electrified vehicles, plug-in hybrids and that sort. They have the first BMW iX. There's about, I think there's 4 prototypes in the country right now. We have one of them. So we'll come over here and take a look at this. Before we get there though, I just have to point out, you'll notice that BMW's always had this classic, what they call the kidney grille, which is the 2 pieces here. As the cars have gotten more recent, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And And then you'll notice on the electric one here, this is the iX here, it's even larger. In fact, this car doesn't actually even need a grille because there is no internal combustion. So what they've done is they've actually put all the radar and cameras and things behind the screen here. So the interesting thing with electric cars, especially with this one, there's no maintenance really required that any consumer can do. So the only thing that you would actually have to do for this car is put in the windshield washer fluid. That's the only access. This is right there. Everything else is done maintenance at the dealership because there's not really a lot of moving parts in it. Now we're going to walk around this way. But yes.
Do you have regenerative braking?
Yes, it does have regenerative braking. This one is a brand new one though. This is still pre-production. They haven't actually come on sale yet. Haven't had a chance to drive this one yet, but they're saying the range should be 300 mile-ish, which is pretty typical for a lot of electric cars. They've already talked about a high-performance version of this one coming out. So recently, Mercedes also announced that they're doing the same idea. They're going to have their first AMG, which is their performance division. They'll have their first AMG electric vehicles coming too. Basically, not only are electric vehicles much more efficient, but you get all of the torque, which is that acceleration field that just feels so good when you're accelerating. That you get all the torque at 0 RPM, so instantly the car is moving. So even a car that doesn't have a lot of power still feels fun to drive. The F-150 Lightning. So this is going to be the first full-size electric pickup truck. So the car it's not gone on sale yet. They've announced some basic specs of it. It's a pickup truck that'll go 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, will tow 10,000 pounds, and should have a 300 mile plus range. The coolest thing is that typically you have a very big engine up front. This one obviously doesn't. It's a big trunk, or frunk as they call it. And so unfortunately we can't open it, but the front, it opens up like a clamshell. And it's a massive amount of space that you can have in a locked storage area in a pickup truck. There's also power outlets in there, so you can kind of tailgate from the front of your truck, tailgate party, because you can basically power your house with the batteries from this vehicle. They say you can run it for a couple days if you had to. So they're going to start probably around $50,000. You can fully load them up probably close to $100,000, and they're probably going to sell every single one of them. The demand for this truck is outrageous. So it is slated, I believe, to go on sale early next year. And I think they've already started accepting orders on it. So I would imagine that GM will be following soon. They've already talked about their first electric truck, and Ram will follow as well. Ford had teased about bringing back the Bronco for a very long time, and they finally did it. And it was worth the wait. I mean, the Bronco, there are people that are, perhaps crazy isn't the right word, but they're obsessed with Broncos. And so this one, they made the design look very much like the original Bronco, but obviously fully modern. It's also a four-door, which the original Bronco was not. Top can come off, the doors can come off, so very much like a Jeep Wrangler, you can go with everything off. If you want something a little smaller, there's the Bronco Sport, which is more of a crossover. Still very capable off-road, actually very comfortable off-road, but this one will climb mountains. It's a pretty impressive vehicle, and it looks good. And you can even get it with a manual transmission.
Really?
For the people who are really off-road enthusiasts. The style is somewhat polarizing. Some people really like it, some people don't.
How do you know? It's a Hyundai.
Electric.
It'll blow up or light on fire like a truck.
So it's very similar to the Hyundai Tucson. So there's full space for 5 people inside. But the cool thing is the truck bed. And so you have this hard tonneau cover that closes up, and you can close it up and lock it, so you can keep all of your items secure in here. And And then there's also additional storage here. So you can keep things, and this is waterproof, so you can keep things out of the water. You can fill it with ice, make it cooler.
So you could go
So there's a
fishing
lot
in
of
that, and
technology in this that
little
makes it
fishing
really
is
usable.
good in there. Or you could go hunting.
Yeah.
Oh, Kansas. Sorry.
So it's, you know, the truck has changed a lot over the years. And it's still, and it's got good power, it's fun to drive, it's got good fuel efficiency. And so a lot of people buy these big trucks that don't really need that much of a truck. So this is the alternative. A lot of Subaru's customers took like the Outback and the Forester and really beefed them up for going. So Subaru recognized that and built one themselves. So they've launched this new division called Wilderness. So you'll notice this Forester up here is the new Forester Wilderness. It just came out. And what they've done is raised up the ground clearance. They've given it off-road tires, a little bit more power, better off-road performance. And it's really designed, you know, as the Subaru says, it's, you know, you take a Jeep to go have fun off-road. You take one of these to go off-road to go somewhere fun. And so this isn't designed for climbing over rocks and climbing mountains, but it can handle a pretty rough trail and take you where you want to go. So this is the new Forester version, and you can see it definitely looks beefier.
There are special places.
This way, there's the new Outback Wilderness, which is along the same lines. My guess is there will be others.
Places that hold lasting memories.
For those who are like to stay on the road, not so much off-road, this is the brand new 2022 Subaru WRX, which will be, I think it's
Their timeless beauty
250
captures our
horsepower.
imagination.
It's not on, it's just going on sale now. So over here we have Lincoln. Lincoln now is the Continental was discontinued about 2 years ago, and so it's exclusively SUVs now, but it's still Lincoln. So you have the Corsair, which is the most basic model, which isn't basic if you look inside. I mean, it's still digital screens, nice luxury interior. So you can actually program a combination, so you don't need to have your key with you. You can actually unlock the combination. To the Navigator, if you really want. This is like the utmost in luxury. I mean, this will seat 6 or 7, 8 passengers, but it's more like a limousine than a truck. So you get something like this, you can tow your horse trailer, you can, I think, if I remember correctly, it will tow upwards close to 10,000 pounds, 8,000, 8,500 pounds. Acura has changed their design somewhat so that most of their vehicles look very similar. We've got MDX, this is RDX, so they have a wide range. They just unveiled the new Acura Integra. For those who remember, the Integra was a car back in the 80s, very much sought after by car enthusiasts, and now they brought it back. It looks a little like this, which is unfortunate, because it looks like everything else, but from what I understand, it's going to be fun to drive. Basically, next to the F-Series, this is the second best-selling vehicle in America. The pickup trucks, the Ford, the Dodge, or the Ram, excuse me, and the Chevy outsell every other passenger car by far. So America does like trucks, apparently. So it's going to just showing there's a feature here. This is, if I can do it. So you get a step that comes out, so it's much easier to climb into the tailgate. Everybody seems to have a different version of this. It is, so Jeep had the Wagoneer for a long time. It was, and it went away several years ago. And now they've brought back the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer. This is the Grand Wagoneer, which is this is a car that can go upwards of $100,000. But if you look inside, I mean, there's more video screens in this thing than just about any other vehicle. There's a video screen for the passenger side and front. There's video screens for the rear seat passengers. There's video screens in the middle. And it drives amazing how smooth it is. Third row. So, you know, Jeep didn't have anything with a third row for years. Now they have two, which is right over here. But if you look inside the Grand Wagoneer when you have a chance, it's ultra luxe inside. I mean, this is not what you'd expect from a Jeep. This is the first Grand Cherokee with 3 rows of seats. Still has all of the Jeep capability that there's always been. It's a much sleeker design. And they're having trouble keeping them in showrooms. So this design is now, they've just introduced the regular Grand Cherokee, so now you can get it with 3 rows or 2 rows. It's an option.
It is a massive vehicle.
Yeah, you gotta get inside. It's so much better inside. It's very nice. The front driver and passenger side have 24 boy massagers. There's a separate passenger. There's a separate passenger display screen from the center screen, so that's really nice because you can hold the other connected to your own thing. There's a little cooler in the center for your drinks. So
That's like a car we would build.
and then you gotta get in there and sit in there. It's really, really nice. I actually love the black with the walnut interior. Like, I think that looks really nice. I also prefer to sit in the back, so it's nice that there's a second zone back there.
It's like a freaking limousine.
That's what I
It's like you drive. I'll just hang back here with my drink.
like, yeah.
Like, does it have a wet bar too? Like, dang.
Whatever drinks you want in there. And it comes with they're the only ones that have a Macintosh audio system. So and they come standard with 19 speakers.
Good lord.
Yeah, you're gonna hear everything.
Wow.
And Fiat is pretty much done. So there's the 500X, which is over there, the far car. That's the last Fiat sold in America. So they've gotten rid of all the other Fiats. So I would say the writing is on the wall that Fiat is no longer going to be sold. I mean, they were gone for a while, they came back, and then probably going away. So Polestar is a division of Volvo, and they're going to be completely electric. So it's an electric performance brand for Volvo. And so you'll see, when you look at the car, it's very familiar looking to a Volvo, but you can get all-wheel drive, 300 horsepower. The interesting thing with that one is that the infotainment system is Android-based. So you can actually log in with your Android password and it will download your map favorites and things like that. So it's an interesting system. Taycan, which this is the lowest performance one, if you want to call it that. So this is rear-wheel drive. I believe it's around 300 horsepower. You can go all the way up to the top of the line, the Turbo S, which I don't know why they call it Turbo. It's an electric car, but it's close to 700 horsepower and very, very quick with very long range, 300 miles plus of range, and it drives like a Porsche. And it costs what you'd expect a 700 horsepower Porsche to cost. I can't say I'm a big fan of the color. We've done all of the chassis and structure so that it's much more capable. It doesn't have as many of the bells and whistles as, say, the Dodges and the GMCs, but it's, I mean, this is the 1794 edition, which is much more luxurious inside. It's definitely, it's one of the more capable trucks out there, and their goal is to build something that's capable but affordable. And that's what you get with a full-size Tundra. Then you also have the 4Runner, which is surprising because it's a vehicle that has not been redesigned in a very long time. It's one of the last truck-based SUVs out there, and it's one of the most popular SUVs in America. People seem to love this thing, whether they take it off-road or not. It's incredibly capable. And for some reason, they just keep building them, people keep buying them. Dodge has really gotten known for is taking a really, really old design, which is the Charger and the Challenger, and they just keep putting more horsepower in them. And so you can now get the Dodge Charger or the Dodge Challenger. They call it the Hellcat Redeye, which has 797 horsepower, street legal production car. It is amazing to drive. It's really hard to drive it without just spinning the wheels even when the road is dry, mainly because it sounds really good. But the crazy thing is that you have a Dodge Charger like this. It's this family sedan size car. It's got a huge back seat. It's really comfortable, and you can get it in a version that'll go 200 miles an hour. So that's what Dodge has gotten known for, and it's worked well for them. And the Challenger, even from the moment it came out, it just has that retro style that people just love. And so even in the most basic model, it's really popular. Now, a lot of car companies don't really pay attention to their heritage, and I think they've done a really good job of staying true to what they were back in the 60s and 70s. Over here we have, I guess what you could say is a competitor to that Grand Wagoneer we just saw, which is the new Chevy Tahoe. It's a major redesign that they did a couple of years ago. And it was already a very large vehicle, but they've redone it so that even the third row is comfortable for a full-size adult. It's surprising how much space there is back there. So there's the Tahoe, and then there's also the Suburban, which is the larger one, if you need more space in the back. And then, of course, there's the GMC Yukon, Denali, and the Cadillac Escalade, which are all built on the same platform, but just higher levels of luxury. They also offer a diesel version of this, which I had the chance to tow with, and 16 miles per gallon towing a camper with the diesel. It was pretty impressive. Lots of power. So I mean, so this is their higher version. So the sticker on this one is $85,000. They're not all this pricey, but you get a lot for your money, though. So let's go over this way. I want to make sure we stop at Nissan, because Nissan has a number of new things, including a new electric car that's going to be coming out shortly. This is the all-new Aria. In fact, they've shown the Japanese spec version of this. They'll be showing the North American spec version of this next week at the LA Auto Show. So it should be coming soon, hopefully by early next year. It's going to be all-wheel drive available or front-wheel drive. I think it's front-wheel drive. Upwards of 390 horsepower. So with the dual motor, unfortunately it's dark inside, so you can't really see, but they have these beautiful controls. So it's a wood panel that has haptic switches in it. So when the lights are off, you can't see them. And when the lights come on, you can touch them and you feel a little push, even though it looks solid. It's a really, really clean design, dual screens, 300 plus miles of range. And so this is really Nissan taking its electric game up quite a bit. So Frontier has really changed a lot. They've upped the performance of it. They've given it all new styling, so it really looks like a proper truck now. It drives really well. it's very comfortable and smooth. Plenty of towing capacity. It's got more than 300 horsepower now. So they finally brought the Frontier back into the current generation because, like I said, the old one was very old. And unfortunately, it's not here. Is the yellow car up there that is also the newest car that's coming out with it, which is the Nissan Z car, which has also been highly anticipated. It's going to be a proper sports car with 6-speed manual, rear-wheel drive, 400 plus horsepower, and that one's supposed to go on sale early next year as well.
So have you driven an electric vehicle before?
I have.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
The Chevy Bolt.
Oh, this is way cooler than that.
Yeah, yeah, just a bit. That's when I was driving for Lyft.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I've been sitting in these cars for like the past 3 days doing riding drives and stuff, and I'm having the time of my life. This car is super comfortable to sit in.
It's comfy.
Yeah.
Which way are we going?
So we're gonna go straight into the green light, and then we're gonna make that right.
Okay.
So actually, on your left side, if you see the seat memory functions,
Okay.
below that, there's actually a massager. If you give that a tap, the massager will come on as well. Yeah, you just give it a tap and then it takes a second and then it'll start. I got mine on, always. Yeah, and then also your climate controls in here. So you've got smart climate, so it's just basic stuff. And then if you want just normal climate controls, you got your slider for your AC and such. And then this air care tab is if you leave, like, let's say Chinese food in here and your car smells like Chinese food, you press the air care and it'll start filtering the car. Give you a nice little animation too.
Cool.
Yeah. So you don't gotta smell that the whole time. And then after this right, we got a decent size straightaway. Oh, watch these people right here.
So dope.
Yeah, it's a quality car. Volkswagen really took their time with this one, and it shows.
It's real nice.
Yeah, and so an interesting thing about this car is it's built on Volkswagen's MEB platform. So it's what Volkswagen is going to continue to build all their electric vehicles off of. Is the framework that this car has, and actually not even just Volkswagen, Audi as well. Going forward, will be using the MEB platform.
What did you say the MSRP was?
So these start at just under $40,000 for the base model, and then fully kitted out, you're looking somewhere at around $48,000. But that's not including the $7,500 tax credit that you would get as well.
Oh, not bad. That makes it not too. Yeah,
So
that's not bad.
around $41,000 for a fully kitted out, everything that you see in here.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah, the front two seats are going to be heated and massaging seats. You got a heated steering wheel, heated side mirrors. So we're going to make this right up here. Rain sensing windshield wipers, automatic headlights, all the goodies that you could want.
Hey, we gotta use the brakes.
Yeah, they do work good.
So just right here? Yep. Yeah, I'm liking how this feels. It's a lot nicer than how the Bolt felt, that's for sure.
Yeah, so this being Volkswagen's real, true dive into the electric vehicle market, they really wanted to make it as perfect as they could.
I like the little heads-up display.
Oh yeah, it's super nice. And it also is attached to the steering wheel, so when you adjust that, you're not going to lose the sight of it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, people are really loving these electric cars, and I wasn't sold on. I know we're gonna make this right. I wasn't sold on electric cars before I started riding in these, but now I get it. Like, I get why electric cars are cool.
Yeah, they've grown on me more and more.
Yeah. And I mean, this car is cool not just as a car, not even just as an electric car. This is just a cool car, period, in my opinion.
I've never been a big Volkswagen fan myself, but definitely not your typical feeling Volkswagen, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Cool thing, too, about these cars is that these ID4 specifically are actually still built in Germany. And they actually leave the factory at net zero carbon emissions.
That's awesome.
Yep. And they're actually building a new factory in Tennessee to continue to build ID4s, and that factory also, all the cars that leave that factory will be net zero carbon when they leave the factory. And then we're gonna go straight to that.
It's interesting. Everyone's staring at it.
yeah. It's a striking car for sure. There's also a couple driving modes too. So we've been in sports. So when, let's say we put it in comfort, it's gonna soften up the dampers a little bit, just give us a smoother ride.
Okay, so it's got active suspension.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Oh, this car's always getting points and stairs. I love it. So, excuse me, miss. They had you do a survey before you got in the car?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna ask you to